Hi everyone, I am the Beardy Red Viking, and this is an exhibition of blood and goats. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be celebrating my good friend Simon the Pie Man. His channel is called Pie Face, an absolutely brilliant channel. He focuses primarily on the nastier, more extreme, evil side of metal as a genre, hence wanting to see our blood and goats from our collections. I definitely wanted to make sure I joined in on this. He's an incredibly generous guy. He's actually offering a portion of 50 CDs. I think it's around 50 he's given away. I think he said he was giving away to 4 different winners. It might have been 5, I can't remember. It's a little while since I actually watched the video. He set the contest a month or 2 back and it's taken me a while to get around to doing it. So sorry about that, but I finally got around to doing it. I've got a few albums here I'm going to show, and I definitely wanted to make sure I took part in celebrating this because your channel is fantastic, Simon, and if you haven't seen Simon's channel, make sure you check it out. I'll leave a link in the description down below. He's a lovely guy, as I say. So first of all, we've got some blood. This is the Scottish death metal band Coffin Mulch with their debut EP, Septic Funeral. As you can see, we've got a skeleton on the front cover, stabbing himself in the chest with a giant sword and spitting a shitload of blood out of his mouth, gathering in a pool down below. So I don't need to do too much in the way of describing why I've picked this particular album in terms of the artwork, but this is an absolutely phenomenal piece of death doom, really. Their newer album is more sort of HM2 death metal, Entombed style kind of stuff, but this has definitely got a much more doomy kind of sound to it. But it's a fantastic EP. If you haven't heard it, I highly recommend you check it out. Next is Venom with Metal Black. No, not black metal, Metal Black. This is from 2005. It was released on Castle Music, which is a subsidiary of Sanctuary Records. It's in homage to their classic black metal. I don't actually own that or Welcome to Hell or any other Venom music, to be perfectly honest with you. I bought this when it came out, roughly around about the time it came out anyway, and I've listened to plenty of Venom. I love them, they're fantastic, but for whatever reason I've never ended up picking up any of their music. A lot of it I've just listened to online or whatever over the years. I do need to correct that and get some of their stuff in my collection, certainly those first 2 albums. But yeah, there's a goat on the front of this. Baphomet, I would imagine he's sat in his pentagram on the front cover there. You can probably see why I picked this album. Next up is Skeletal Remains with their debut album Beyond the Flesh, released on Century Media back in 2012. These are a brilliant band, one of my absolute favourites from the modern death metal genre. Brilliant album. Everything they've done is brilliant. This is probably not their best album, if I'm being completely honest with you, but it's a fantastic debut and a great start, and they are one of my favourites of the modern death metal genre. Next is Kvelertak with their second album, Mir. Again, probably not their best album. Their first would be my favourite, personally. You may not be able to see the goat because there's a lot of writing in the way. I'm sure you can probably see the goat down at the bottom here now. And it's also on the back of the booklet as well. This is a brilliant album all the same. Yeah, not as strong as their debut, but it's still brilliant. Pure, savage, rock and roll fury. Got a bit of a blackened edge. Plenty of punk kind of sound in there as well. If you like a bit of black metal, you like a bit of classic metal, you like a bit of rock and roll, you like a bit of punk rock, you like a fusion of all those styles in one, I highly recommend checking out this band if you haven't done so already. This was released on Roadrunner in, I think it was about 2012, something like that. 2013. But yeah, John Dyer Baisley artwork, the vocalist and guitarist of Baroness. All of his artwork is absolutely brilliant. I love the guy's work, and yeah, this is no exception. Most of the artwork that he puts is generally on fantastic music. Yeah, no exception in that case. A brilliant piece of work. Next is Cancer with their Ball Cutter 12-inch from 2019. This was sent to me very kindly by Sean the Beast as part of one of his VCLT packages. As you can see, there's a guy there being attacked. Looks like he's probably dead. Eyes open. Looks like he was terrified in his final moments, and there's blood pissing out of his ear and around the back of his neck. Got what looks like a pair of gardening shears sticking out of his lower back. Gnarly stuff. And a fantastic band. Next up, we have Boobies as well as a goat. See if you can rewind that and pause it. The Goat of Mendes by Akakoka. I think that's how you pronounce them. It could be Akakoki, it could be Akakoka. I'm not entirely sure, but I've always called them Akakoka, and they're an absolutely fantastic, brilliantly satanic, extreme metal band. A nice fusion of the death metal and black metal genres. They're absolutely brilliant. I've seen them live a couple of times recently. Once was at Reaper Festival back in 2022, I think it was. Might have been 21, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was 2022. And I also saw them at Damnation Festival last year, playing another of their classic albums, Choronzon, in full. But yeah, you can see the Goat of Mendes there in all his splendour, and there's the Boobies again. I'll cover those back up though, I don't want to get into trouble. Fantastic album. If you don't know it, make sure you check it out. It was released on Peaceville back in 2001. Absolutely brilliant band, and that is a fantastic album. Next is Blood Moon 1, or Blood Moon I, from Converge. It's not just Converge this though, this is Converge with Chelsea Wolfe on vocals as well as the classic Converge lineup. It's also got Stephen Brodsky, who's in Mutoid Man and Old Man Gloom and Cave In as well. He's a talented guy, he's in a lot of good bands, and he is part of this project as well. It came out in, I think, 2022, and then it was released on vinyl the year after. You can see the band there. Jacob Bannon is the standard vocalist. You've got vocals from him, you've got vocals from Chelsea Wolfe, you've got vocals from Stephen Brodsky as well, and this album is absolutely fantastic. If you like a bit of Converge, then you're going to love it, but if you like Chelsea Wolfe and what Stephen Brodsky's been involved in as well, you're going to love it even more. I'm a big fan of all three. I love Converge, I love Chelsea Wolfe, and I really enjoy a bit of Mutoid Man, a bit of Cave In, and a bit of Old Man Gloom as well. So it's an absolutely fantastic concoction of brilliant musicians putting together an absolutely phenomenal album. It's a bit of a crossover between there's post-metal and hardcore, and then there's Chelsea Wolfe sort of haunting melodies, haunting vocal styles, stuff involved, and it's, yeah, overall it's a brilliant album. It's an amalgamation of all of the styles of the people involved. Obviously there's a heavy dose of Converge in there. If you don't like Converge, then you're probably not going to like this album, but if you're open-minded or you enjoy that band, then I highly recommend checking it out. It's an absolutely fantastic piece of work. Converge with Chelsea Wolfe and Stephen Brodsky, Blood Moon I. Job for a Cowboy, Genesis. It's not an album I've shown before. It's not actually an album, honestly, I've listened to for quite some time. I loved it when it came out back in 2007. It got a lot of stick, and the band got a lot of stick because they were one of those few bands that sort of made the name on MySpace back in the day. Also, there's a fair bit of pig squealing going on in the vocals, so it got a bit of stick for that. But I really enjoyed this when it came out back in 2007. Honestly, I probably haven't listened to it since around about that year when it came out, but when it did come out, I loved it. James, Mr. Boulder, sorry, his mum calls him James. He told me not to call him James when I first met him at Bloodstock earlier in the year, so apologies there. Boulder, he showed it on one of his videos recently. He picked it up on vinyl, and it reminded me, I need to listen to that again. It's been some time, so I picked it out of my collection, ready to listen to. I haven't done it again just yet, but here it is, and I'm going to be listening to it very shortly to check it out and see if it still holds up, shall we say. Next up is an absolute classic, Dismember, with their, I think, 1993 second full-length album, Indecent and obscene. Blood and guts all over that. I don't think I need to tell you why I've shown you this particular piece of work. Absolutely brilliant album. Probably not quite as good as their debut, but it's still fantastic. I picked this up from the 2023, was it? Yeah, it was last year, 2023 Nuclear Blast reissues. I did initially buy the box set, and to a lot of people's boiled piss, I then decided to sell it. And the reason why I decided to do that is I paid about 120 quid. I think I ended up paying about 30 quid for it on customs charges and stuff, which was irritating when it came in. And I was a bit skint at the time when it finally came in, and I had a few things coming up, like my missus's birthday and stuff like that. So I decided, when I saw it was going for about 500 quid on Discogs, I'm going to flog it, and I'm going to get that money for it. I'm going to rebuy the individual reissued albums, and I'm going to just be perfectly happy with what I've done there. So I did that. I got 500 quid for the box set. I was not particularly impressed with the box set anyway, to be perfectly honest with you, because the albums themselves were all, there was nothing special about the albums in there, apart from they had blue and yellow vinyl variants, which again, I'm not a big fan of solid colour vinyl. So when I saw the reissues individually, I preferred the variants that were coming out. So that was another reason why I decided to make a few quid. It's not something I do out of habit. It's not something I did on purpose. I didn't order it with the intention of then flipping it to make an absolute wad. I'm not one of those scalper types generally, but on that occasion I was struggling for money, and I thought, you know what, I prefer the vinyl variants that are coming out individually. So I did it, and I don't regret it. And sorry Dylan, and sorry anyone else who's upset with me for doing that, but it had to be done. This is Creator with Gods of Violence from 2017, released on Nuclear Blast Records. This is another item I got in a VCLT from Sean, actually. Thank you again, Sean. You are a very kind gentleman. I'm not sure if it was in the same package as the album I showed previously. He sent me a few now. As I say, he's a very generous guy. But yeah, plenty of blood, and there's a goat skull on the front there, so bit of both had to be shown. This is Gruesome with their debut album Savage Land. This is basically a tribute band to early death. I'd say this sort of covers the first couple of albums, that kind of sound. Fantastic album. If you're looking for something that's new and innovative and doing something different, then you're going to be sadly disappointed. But if you come into this looking for a fun tribute to an absolutely classic band, you're going to really enjoy it. It came out on Relapse Records back in 2015. Really good fun. Plenty of blood and guts and gnarly shit on the front cover there. Check it out if you haven't listened to it yourself already. What we got next? Incantation with their fifth album from, I think, 2005. This is Hell's Headbangers reissue. This came out in 2021. This is Blasphemy by Incantation, their fifth album from these brutal New York death metalers. I wouldn't say it's one of their best albums, to be perfectly honest with you, but it is a damn good album. They don't do bad music. Incantation. You've got a goat, you've got blood, and you've got more blood, and you've got a general kind of bloody hue to the album artwork. Fantastic stuff. Next we have Hellripper with Warlock's Grim and Withered Hags. Their most recent release on Peaceville Records came out at the early part of last year. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant album. Most people I know within the vinyl community know Hellripper. If you don't know Hellripper, make sure you check them out. If you like a bit of a fusion of black metal, speed metal, traditional heavy metal, bit of thrash, this has got all of those and more besides thrown in. It's absolutely brilliant. All the lyrics are to do with sort of Scottish folklore and stuff like that. We've got a big gnarly goat on the front cover. Hellripper worship goats, as you may know from the fact that there's a goat there on that cover. They've got a song called All Hail the Goat. Absolutely great band. It's actually one guy, James McBain, who records all the music, but he does put a band of his mates together when they go on tour, and I highly recommend going and seeing them live if you get the chance to do so. They are absolutely brilliant. Got a few more with blood now to show. So we've got Pest Control with Don't Test the Pest. Fantastic lowbrow artwork there of a bunch of bugs ripping someone to pieces, ripping someone apart. Blood, guts and viscera all over the place. Fantastic bit of crossover thrash metal. Highly recommended. If you haven't heard these leads guys yet, make sure you do so. The vocalist is a lady, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I will look that up. Does it mention, do we have an inner? Yes, we do. Leah, that's her name. She's a fantastic vocalist, loads of energy, loads of bravado on stage, puts on a great show. In general, they put on a fantastic show. Brilliant band, seen them live supporting Enforced and Obituary in the last couple of years, and make sure you pick that album up and also make sure you check them out live if you get a chance to do so. Brilliant band. Next up is Pig Destroyer with their absolutely classic sophomore album, Prowler in the Yard. Absolute savagery, as you can probably tell from the artwork here. Some guy who's cutting himself apart and cutting other people apart as well. Absolutely brilliant. It's pure, savage, horrible, gnarly, disgusting grindcore. Plenty of sound bites and samples throughout the album. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. If you do know Pig Destroyer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I saw them performing this live in its entirety at Damnation in 2022, the first year back at Manchester. It was absolutely brilliant, and I also saw them again earlier this year supporting Napalm Death on their Campaign for Musical Destruction tour in Liverpool alongside my girlfriend Olivia, and also Mark G with a C and Johnny Mack from Rock and Metal Plus of the VC were in attendance as well. Fantastic band. Make sure you check out this album if you haven't done so already. Next on the Blood and Guts is Autopsy with their absolutely seminal debut album, Severed Survival. As you can see, it's the classic artwork of a dude getting ripped apart by a load of hooks. I don't need to explain why this is in here, either from an art point of view or from a musical point of view. This is an absolute classic, and it's on blood red vinyl as well. This is a recent reissue. I say recent. It came out in 2021. It's the 100-year centenary edition from HMV, and it only cost me 22 quid, which ain't bad for HMV, considering how much you normally pay for records and other music-related stuff from there. But you can occasionally get a good bargain, and although I wouldn't describe this as a bargain, it was decent value, and it's an album I didn't have and I needed in my collection, so I picked it up. Fantastic album. I don't need to tell you any more about it. And finally is this. I'll take it out of the sleeve because you probably, although you can probably tell what it is, you can't see it properly because of the glare, I'm sure. This is Slayer with Rain in Blood, their absolutely classic third full-length album from 1986. This is on American Recordings. I don't have an original press, but yeah, I bought this back in around about 2001, so it's quite an old release. And yeah, I don't need to explain why this is in here again. Rain in Blood. So we've got blood and there's a goat on the front cover, so it covers all bases, and it's one of the best albums ever released. So that is my little collection. I hope you enjoyed the video, Simon. I hope you enjoyed the video, everybody else. If you haven't, as I say, make sure you check out Simon's channel, Pieface. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Make sure you check his channel out, and if you have a chance, make sure you record a video to enter the competition as well. I think you've still got a little bit of time. He said he was going to let us know a week in advance of when he was going to do the draw, so you've still got time to do an entry if you haven't done so already, although the competition has been running for quite some time now, so I'm probably the last tardy idiot to do so. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Beardy Red Viking out.